This is the In the Rabbit Hole episode archive project. What you're about to watch and listen to is a past episode from In the Rabbit Hole Urban Survival Podcast. You can learn more by visiting intherabbithole.com. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel now.
And now, two guys who once survived defusing a drama bomb, Aaron and Jonathan.
Howdy, and welcome to episode 69 of In the Rabbit Hole's Urban Survival Podcast. For your Memorial Day listening pleasure, a little shooting and history. We're your hosts, Aaron
and Jonathan.
And you are in the rabbit hole, safe and sound. In the Rabbit Hole isn't just a podcast and a blog. It's also a community. The best way to connect to that community is by joining me and the other rabbit holers on the In the Rabbit Hole forum at forum.intherabbithole.com. Remember, survival chi starts with community. So come join me at forum.intherabbithole.com and let's talk about all things preparedness. Before we get into the show, Jonathan and I would like everyone to put down your hot dogs and beer for a minute. We'd like you to take a moment and think about the men and women of the armed forces that have paid the ultimate price for their patriotism. To all the Marines, sailors, soldiers, and airmen now laid to rest, we thank you. Your sacrifice means we all sleep a little safer tonight and every night. To everyone currently serving, we'd of course like to thank you too. Please know that you are appreciated. Keep your minds at the ready and come home safe and sound and upright. Godspeed. Today's show is a rebroadcast of episode 38. I can't think of a better way for us to honor the fallen. It's not only about learning to properly use one of the tools that won our liberty. It's also a way for us to remember the first men and women that paid for our freedoms with their lives. And with that, let's hear about Project Appleseed. A couple of years ago, I jumped in my truck and headed up a couple hours northwest to see about this organization that called itself Project Appleseed, then promised to turn me into a rifleman if I showed up and did my part. I wasn't sure if they were militia or not, but all I knew is this city boy badly needed to be taught some good old-fashioned rifle skills. However, I not only left with those skills, I also got a lesson on something I wasn't expecting. So without further ado, Scout, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, sir. Thanks for having me on. And don't feel alone with the worry. Anytime you hear any type of a rifle marksmanship program, or a group of folks getting together to learn about history or rifle marksmanship or something, there's always that worry that it might be something that you don't want to get into. And I had the same thing. I even told my wife before I went to my first event. She asked me how long I was going to be gone, and I said, well, I'll either be back at the end of the event or within 24 hours after seeing the first swastika or a Heil Hitler salute. And I was I was very pleased to learn that it's nothing at all like that. And that was my first introduction to it, I guess a little over 5 years ago. And
hey, Scout, for our listeners that aren't familiar with Appleseed, can you give them just a quick and dirty of what it is?
Right. The Appleseed Project is the sole project of the Revolutionary War Veterans Association. And the Revolutionary War Veterans Association was started in order to teach the absolute best fundamentals of rifle marksmanship program in the United States today, in order that we can carry on the legacy of rifle marksmanship, which is one of the few things we actually share with the founders. And at the same time, and the reason that it says the Revolutionary War Veterans Association, it's in a bunch of folks in frilly shirts prancing around and drinking tea and stuff. This is the organization was formed in order to honor those who have come before us. And the way you honor somebody is to remember them. And that's what we do at the Rifle Marksmanship events. In addition to getting 2 solid days, a rock-solid foundation of rifle safety and rifle marksmanship, you'll also get normally at least an hour, hour and a half, broken up into several segments of history of the men and women who stood together in ranks on April 19, 1775. That's the date that our nation began, and it began at the Green in the town of Lexington, and then continued on with the events at the North Bridge in Concord, and then along Battle Road back to Boston the rest of that day. We're going to talk to you about what happened on April 19th, why it happened, who the major characters and players were, and what they did, so that you'll have an understanding of the events that occurred on April 19th, 1775, which is the birth of our nation. So you're going to get a rock-solid foundation in rifle safety. You're going to get a 2 solid days of the fundamentals of rifle marksmanship. And when I say fundamentals, I want to make sure that folks understand that fundamentals are not the basics. All right, the basics are, this is the butt stock and it goes on your shoulder, and this is the barrel and the bullet comes out this end, and don't get the 2 reversed or mixed up. The fundamentals are the things that you're going to need no matter where your shooting path takes you. This is stuff that it's taken a lot of people 10, 20, 30 years to learn on their own by picking up in bits and pieces. We're going to give it to you in one weekend. And we do this all across the United States. Every weekend of the year, there is an Appleseed Project rifle marksmanship event going on somewhere in your state within a reasonable driving distance of you. And the Appleseed Project is an all-volunteer, the grassroots, not-for-profit organization, and it's run by just regular Americans who have gone to an event, decided they liked what they saw, and then put themselves on a path to becoming an instructor. And we have some of the best instructors in the nation. They are very highly skilled at what they do. Most of the instructors are running at 100-plus hours of teaching before they become full instructors, and we do an absolutely fantastic job, and we've really geared ourselves up for folks who have no familiarization with firearms, or folks who have little to none, or they're coming back into the shooting sports. But if you don't have a background in shooting, if you've never shot before, we're I would say we're the absolutely best organization to contact to get instruction from, because it's one of the niches that we've really grown strong in. If you're a woman or a child, then we've gotten really good at teaching women and children. Not to say that we're still not the best for teaching anybody in any of the categories. But we have folks that show up on a weekend to learn, and they will run the level of their skill levels will run from never having touched a firearm to having shot in competitions for 10, 20 years, 30 years, and they all learn something when they come to an event.
Well, awesome. And you mentioned safety, and I know for a lot of people that's something that they need to either learn more about or it's something that they're concerned about. Can you kind of run us through a little bit about the safety briefing?
Well, certainly. And that's one of the kind of the overlooked bennies of going to an Appleseed rifle marksmanship event, is that we are very, very safety conscious. We've written all of the courses of instruction. All of the program is designed around the number one, the prime consideration of safety. So when you come to an event, you're not just going to get the rifle marksmanship. You're going to get 2 solid days of rifle safety. We're going to teach you how to safely and competently handle your rifle, how to conduct yourself at a range when you're shooting with other people's, and how to ensure that your rifle is indeed a safe rifle. And the techniques that we use to do this, to teach you the shooting, the safety, all of that, none of this is brand new stuff that we just cooked up all of a sudden and we said, hey, let's try this. Let's let's experiment on a bunch of folks who come and see if this works or not. All of the techniques and skills that we're going to be working with you are skills that have been boiled down and distilled down through 500 years of firearms usage. The safety starts right off the bat. When you come to an event, we don't know what your background in shooting is, and so in order to make it safe for everybody, folks will come to an event. We'll ask them to bring all their gear down to the line, minus their rifles, and then we'll give the safety briefing, and then we'll go out with them and bring the rifles back. And listen, none of this is mollycoddling or babying you, all right? Like I said, it's because that we have a great deal of brand new shooters that are showing up at events. And believe me, you want us to be safe. You want to make sure that you have a pleasurable event and that there are no safety accidents or safety issues. So we'll do the safety briefing, get the folks, get their rifles down to the line, and then we'll begin shooting. And it's a very structured course. So nobody's ever messing with rifles or goofing around with their rifles or anything like that. Everything is very structured, a very well thought out course, going at a pretty good speed.
Scout, we've talked about Appleseed a lot on the show, and one of the questions we get a lot is, are there any political affiliations? Well,
no political affiliations that are any newer than 230 years.
That's fair.
Appleseed has no politics in it. Great. We don't do any politics, and we ask for you folks that have come to the events, we ask you to leave your politics at home too, because there's really no place for them there. Appleseed and rifle marksmanship and the story of our nation's founding belongs to everybody. It doesn't matter what kind of a letter you'd want put in front of or in back of your name. It doesn't matter, because we're not concerned with that. We're concerned with making sure that folks understand how to safely and correctly handle their rifles, and that they understand about the folks who came before them, about the long line of people who stood before them from April 19th, 1775 until now, that we owe a huge debt to. And that's one of the reasons that we do this. And we're trying to repay our debt. And in the Revolutionary War, there were folks of all political backgrounds. And yes, there was plenty of politics back then, just as there is now. There were folks from all political backgrounds. There were folks who believed in God. There were folks who didn't believe in God. And yet they all participated in helping to forge the nation that we now live in. And we feel the same way. Just as the Constitution belongs to all Americans, so does Appleseed. So does the right and the need for folks to learn rifle marksmanship and to learn about their history. So don't worry about coming to any events. Matter of fact, I enjoy having folks from all political persuasions, men, women, children, and we get plenty of folks from different countries who have come to the United States and are now citizens. And let me tell you, those folks, when we're talking about safeguarding the rights, the freedoms that living in this nation affords you, they are listening very carefully, because they've experienced living in countries where they did not have the rights and freedoms that we have. They're well aware of what we take for granted, that our freedoms and liberties are not they are not so chipped out of stone that we can't lose them. We could lose them very easily, and it's the duty, the sacred responsibility of each and every American citizen to ensure that those rights and freedoms are safeguarded. And we talk to folks about that at events too. But safeguarding freedom, safeguarding your rights and liberties is something that all American citizens have the responsibility for. No political party has any corner on that market.
Yeah, I've always talked to friends and family when I talk about Appleseed with them, as it's really a celebration of one of the greatest American traditions. And that's, when you boil it down to that, people start to get it, I think. And it's a fantastic event, and it does just reflect on one of the best things about American history. And we talked about it. For those of you who are out there from our listeners, we were on Scout's show just a few days ago. And one of the things we talked about towards the end was, with every right comes responsibility. And this concept of understanding a firearm, understanding what is your right to bear arms, what does that actually boil down to when it comes to a responsibility, and knowing how to shoot makes it just such a great event that you're by learning how to shoot, you're defending your right to bear arms.
Right, and just like you said, every right, every freedom, every liberty, and every decision you make now or will ever make in your life, every single one of those has a price tag that comes with it.
Yep.
Every single one of those has a responsibility. You have a right to keep and bear arms, and within that right comes the responsibility to do so in a safe manner, in a responsible manner. And just because you have a right to do something doesn't mean you have a right to do it irregardless of anybody else's safety or anyone else's well-being, etc.
Right.
And that's one of the things that we're going to be teaching you, is how to conduct yourselves correctly, how to conduct yourselves properly and safely with a firearm when you're at a range or when you're shooting, and how to make sure that your family members do the same. And Appleseed is very family-friendly. Just as we don't do any politics, we don't do any training either. And what I mean by training is we don't teach you. We're not teaching you anything for you to use at a later date. There's no tactics, no malicious stuff, no playing army, anything like that. This is all a very family-friendly and a safe environment. And we don't teach you how to do anything except learn how to shoot your rifle safely and correctly. Nothing else is there. We'll teach you about history, but we don't do any training, and there's certainly no type of indoctrination or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that really struck me when I first got there, was the distinction, and the hard distinction you'll make between instruction and training. And I think you even gave a really elegant speech about how our forefathers already used a rifle to defend our rights, but that's not the point of Appleseed.
Exactly. The whole point of Appleseed is to celebrate what the men and women who stood together on April 19th did for us now, for the people who came after them. They sacrificed their health, their fortunes, and for a great many of them, 2% of the American population, they sacrificed their lives. And it was not so that the people in the future would have to do it again and again and again. They did it so that we wouldn't have to. They got together, and I tell you what, one of the things that I had learned soon after becoming a part of Appleseed, because I started reading about the history and I really started reading the founding documents, is if you look at the absolutely brilliant documents that were crafted by the founders, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution of these United States, I think it'd be hard-pressed to comb through the population today and find that kind of brilliance on hardly any levels that we have now. Those documents were absolutely brilliant. And the reason that they were crafted was so that we would not have to use force of arms in order to change our government again. They didn't have any choice. The folks in 1775 didn't have any choice. They had used every resource they had available to address what they considered the wrongs brought upon them by the government, and they found they had no other recourse but force of arms, and they did that. Now, we don't need that today. We have a government that was put together by these guys who said, look, how can we fix this government? How can we set up a system of governing so that we would never have to do that again? And that's what they did. And I tell you what, I'm 100% positive that if you went back to April 1775 and you told them, listen, we got two directions we can go in this. We can either all stand here together on the line, and the 35 to 40 of us, we can go ahead and fight these 900 British regulars. And, who knows what the outcome will be, right? Yeah, they could have said that. They knew what the outcome was going to be. We can go ahead and fight these guys right here now, or we can all go home and we can all write a letter to our congressmen and our senators, and we can all get involved in a serious way with changing the way that the government is responding to the people. And the first method, the method of using deadly force, now that means that they're going to have to be shot at. They're going to have to shoot at people just by standing together in ranks. That has already certified them as treasonous and marked them as traitors with the sentence of death on each of their names. If they do get shot, then and they're not killed, if they're not lucky enough to be killed, there's no 911, there's no life flight, there's no hospitals, no anesthetics, no antibiotics, nothing. And if they get captured, then they'll be hung. That is the first method they can use, or they can use the second, which at the time they didn't have that. But if they would have, I guarantee you they would have used that. The problem with today is that we are all ignoring the second method. We're all ignoring our responsibility to be the government. Whenever I tell folks that come to an event, I go, look, the president is not the government. Your senators, the congressmen, they are not the government. All of the alphabet acronym agencies, they are not the government. The founding documents very clearly spell out who is the government. We, the people of these United States. The people are the government. The rest of all those folks, they're just your representatives. They're just up there to do your bidding, and if they don't, then you remove them. We should not be required to go before our senators and congressmen on bended knee and beg a boon of them. We should be telling them, hey, you work for us. You work for me. You're a public servant. You're not a rock star. You're a public servant, and you need to listen to what we're saying. You need to do what we're saying, or you need to find something else to do. And Americans aren't doing that. They're not doing their job. They're supposed to be involved in running the government, and they're no longer doing their jobs. They're leaving it to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the things we talk about a lot with personal responsibility, taking responsibility within your community, and really pushing that up even into federal elections. With all that, though, so one of the things that I enjoyed about the tradition of Appleseed and everything is the way you described, I think somebody in the boot camp that I didn't go to a boot camp, but in the weekend event that I went to, talked a little bit about, being a better shooter, and they wanted to shoot like a sniper, and you were talking about, no, we're all about being a rifleman and the tradition of the rifleman. So can you go into a little bit, what is a rifleman? Yeah,
well, it's not a sniper. Not to say that a rifleman could not put themselves on the path to becoming a sniper if they so chose to do so. That what we're going to do is we're going to teach you how to set yourself on a certain path, which is what you said, which is the path to becoming a rifleman. If you come to an Appleseed weekend, first off, we're going to teach you about the mechanics of shooting. We're going to teach you from the bottom up. We're going to teach you about slings. We're going to teach you the importance of building a solid, steady position. We're going to teach you about the steady hold factors. We're going to teach you about the 6 steps to making the shot. We're going to teach you about natural point of aim. We're going to teach you about inches, minutes, and clicks, how they pertain to your rifle. We're going to teach you about the rifleman's bubble, the rifleman's dance. We're going to teach you about talking targets and how you should never take another shot in your life at a range or anywhere else, once we've taught you this, without getting feedback from your targets. We're going to teach you all the mechanics of this, along with, and people tell me all the time, they say, I'd like to go to an Appleseed event, but really I'm more interested in practical rifle. And I'll tell them, I'll say, okay, you mean something like oh, well, it's something where you take, you have to learn to shoot in different positions, along with doing magazine changes, and then shooting at multiple targets under the stress of time constraints. And they go, yeah, something more like that. And then I laugh because that's exactly what we teach you at Appleseed. We're going to teach you the mechanics of doing it, and then we're going to teach you how do you do that in a practical way. We're going to teach you to shoot in standing, seated, and prone. We're going to teach you how to do magazine changes in the course of fire. We're going to have you shooting at multiple targets within the course of fire, and this is all going to be done under the constraints of a time limit. So we're going to be pushing you to do all of this and to learn all the mechanics of it, and then we'll be testing you by the end of the day Saturday, and then most of the day on Sunday. We'll be testing you with a diagnostic tool that we use called the Army Qualification Test. That's the old 40-round, 4-stage test that they use. All right, now this is all the mechanics of it. And then we'll teach you about the history during the course of the day. And if you shoot to a score of 210 or above out of a score of 250 on the AQT, then you'll be awarded a Rifleman's patch. And that's just to let everybody know that you shot to 210 or above on the AQT. But I tell folks when I give them the patch that getting the patch doesn't make you a rifleman. It means that you've shot to rifleman standards. But it doesn't make you a rifleman. You're a rifleman when you understand what Appleseed is about. And when I first started with the program, I thought, you know what? This program is all about rifle marksmanship. It's all about teaching you how to shoot safely and correctly. And if you're going to shoot to 210 or above on the AQT, that means you have to shoot to a standard of 4 minutes of arc. So the program is all about shooting accurately. And then after a little while, I realized this, it's really not the sole focus of what we do. Really, what we do is we teach folks, we teach them to shoot, but what we're really talking about here is the history. And then after being in the program a little bit longer, I realized that that's really not the sole focus either. That being a rifleman, being in the program and being a rifleman, you don't have to be in the program to be a rifleman, but being a rifleman simply means that you're becoming the best person that you can be. You're becoming the best family member, the best father, the best son, the best husband. You are becoming the best member of your community that you can be, and you're becoming the best American citizen that you can be. So really, it's a journey on mastering your rifle, mastering and understanding of what we as a nation, what we intended to do when we started, and then becoming a master of being the absolute best person you can be. And let me tell you that a lot of the folks, I've met the best folks I've ever known at Appleseed. The folks that come to Appleseed events are simply the best folks America has to offer. And many of them are well on their way to becoming the best people they can be before they even get to an Appleseed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's one of the things I liked about it, that camaraderie, that tradition, all those pieces of what it means to becoming a rifleman was really more about the community aspects, the being the best person you can be, the being a good campmate. All of that was part of the weekend, and it was fantastic.
And that's one of the draws on it. And that's one of the draws of the program. And I joke with folks about this is that, look, if you got yourself in a situation where you don't have a lot of really good friends, if you got the kind of friends that they borrow tools and don't bring them back, or that borrow money and never repay you, or you ask you want to go to the range and they say, nah, I'm playing whatever video game I'm playing. I'm playing the video game or something, and you say, man, I just about had it. How did I ever get stuck with this kind of a friend anyway? Well, you come to an Appleseed. Listen, we'll put you on the line with about 25 to 35 other great candidates to replace your crappy friends. And and there are lots of women now that come to Appleseeds too. And what better way to what better place to find a lovely young lady who would enjoy shooting than at an Appleseed? So I joke about that, but there are plenty of folks. All my friends now are all Appleseed folks. I mean, I still have some from the younger days, some good friends, but the majority of them now are Appleseed folks because the quality of the Appleseed folks are really high. And each one of these folks, the folks that end up staying all the way till Sunday, there at the end of the day, they've shot all the way through to Sunday, and we go through the benediction on Sunday, and we release the crowd, and there's usually a dozen or more folks that are still standing around because they don't want it to end. They don't want the fact that they found a bunch of folks who feel the same way that they do about their nation. They don't want that to end. And I'm not talking about folks that are hyped up. Nobody's standing around stomping their feet and clapping, yelling USA, USA. We're standing around talking about how can we best serve our nation now? How can we best fix the things that are wrong in the nation? How can I personally get involved? And that's one of the things that drew me to it. Is I got tired. I live out in the middle of nowhere, and I got tired of banging on my TV and pulling my hair out by looking at the things that were going on in the nation, and then asking myself, what can I do to help? I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, and what possible way do I have of helping to make right what's going wrong in the nation? And this is what I found works best for me. I'm not saying that Appleseed is perfect for everything, because it's not. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect for you. I'm just saying that it's everybody's duty to find what works for them and then work at that. Find what works for you. If you do better with the Tea Party, then work with that. If you do better working with the Democratic Party, then you do that. Or if you do better working with any other volunteer group, then that's what you should do. For me, it turned out to be Appleseed, and for a lot of folks, that's what's working for them. I'm just saying you have a duty to plug yourself in and make this a better nation, and you need to do it wherever it works for you. And the only way you're going to know if Appleseed works for you or not is come to an event and give it a test ride, see if it's something that you want to be involved with.
Yeah, Scout, we agree 100%. I mean, everybody needs to give Appleseed a shot. And one of the things I'm going to ask you, we hear this a lot, and we try to answer it as best we can, but I'd like to hear your answer too. We hear things like, I can shoot well enough, or I've been hunting my whole life, and I shoot, and I don't have any problems shooting there. So for those people, what can they gain from learning about traditional rifle skills?
Well, first off, let me tell you that I've been doing this for a long time now. And in the years leading up to this, first of all, I thought I was a pretty good shot. I went through and you know what people tell me? I've been in the military, so I know how to shoot. And for me, for you to tell me that you've been in the military and you know how to shoot, that's like the biggest story that you can tell me, because I was in the military. And for one thing, I think to me, it's absolutely ridiculous. You've got this army, these group of men who have been given the responsibility of defending our nation, and they're supposed to do it with a rifle, and they get no training in it, or very, very little. I spent 6 years in until the very end of my time in, when I had weaseled my way into the special ops community. I got very, very little training with the thing that was supposed to stand between my nation and my nation's enemies, which, like I said, I thought it's just comical. So folks that have said that tell me I've been in the military, I don't need to go. That's not gonna hold any weight for me. But I've even had people tell me, listen, my son's a Marine and he's a sniper. So, and that's good, I guess, for him. But I'm talking to you right now today. And then plenty of people that tell me, yeah, I hunt. I've been hunting since I was a kid. Well, I have too. And I'll tell you, there's a big difference between shooting an animal that is 50 to 75 yards away, and I know that everybody is going to tell me that they never shoot a deer under 3 to 500 yards, and that's just in their mind because nobody shoots a deer at 500 yards. Well, they can. I'm just saying that the run-of-the-mill person doesn't shoot a deer at 500 yards, and a deer is about 3.5. You've got about a 3.5 to 4 foot wide target one way, and about a 2 foot target, the other way. So you've got about 6 to 8 square feet that you can hit in there. Now, shooting also is a perishable skill. That means if you take your rifle home, you put it in the closet, along with any practice or instruction that you got, you put it in that closet, your instruction is going to get just as rusty as your rifle does. Shooting is a perishable skill, and yes, unless you use it, you're going to lose it. And the other thing that I talked about at the very beginning is that you may be a decent shot. There are plenty of people that never went to any courses to shoot, and they shoot to Olympic standards. But that's like 1 in 300, 400,000 people. We're going to teach you to shoot down to a very easy standard of accuracy, which is 4 minutes of arc. That means that we're going to teach you to shoot into a 4-inch circle at 100 yards with a rack-grade rifle, iron sights, and surplus ammunition. Okay? That's our standards there. That's pretty tight. That's a pretty tight standard of accuracy because what that means is that whenever you shoot to rifleman standards, you're shooting so that you have the ability to make that 500-yard shot with iron sights. All right? And like I said, I know there are people that all the time that tell me what a great shot there is, what a great shot they are. And sometimes they come to events, but usually they don't. But I'll tell you this right now, that I've done a ton of events. I've watched over 1,000 folks come through, and it didn't matter what they all said about how good a shots they were. I find out how good a shot they are right there first thing Saturday morning when we shoot the first set of targets called the redcoat targets. I find out who can hit like a man-sized target at 100 yards, 200 yards, 300 yards, and 400 yards right then and there. Because we'll shoot the redcoats as soon as folks get there without any instruction because that's a diagnostic tool for us. We want to see what skills that people brought with them. And I'm telling you right now that out of the thousands of people that have come through, and many of them had listed on their pre-registration stuff that they were good to excellent shooters. Out of all those people, there is probably only between 1 and 0 for every 35 people that show up in an event that can actually shoot to 400 yards. More likely is you'll get 20 of the 40 folks that show up can shoot to 100 yards, and the other 20 can't. And these are folks who think that they're pretty good shots. Mm-hmm. And you will learn very quickly how good a shot you are when you show up in an event. Now, don't let me scare prospective attendees with that, because Appleseed isn't a competition. We don't look at each other's targets and see how each other did, and we don't say, yeah, look at you. I thought you were a good shooter, and you can't even shoot to 100 yards. We don't do that. Basically, everybody only really cares about their own target at an event. So you can come to an event, and like I said, it's not a competition except with yourself. But there is a big difference between what you think you can shoot and what you can really do. Before I started with the program, I'd have people tell me all the time, "Oh yeah, I can put 5 rounds through a playing card at 500 yards." And I used to think, wow, that's I guess so. Okay, it seems like some pretty decent shooting. I guess they could do it. Now I'm telling you that there may be one out of 5,000 people out there that can put 5 rounds through a playing card at 500 yards, all right? And we're not interested in making folks snipers. What we're interested in is giving you the fundamentals of shooting. We're not even we're not even obsessed as we should be, I guess, with making sure that everybody who walks out with a Rifleman's patch. Because what we're trying to do in these 2 days is not get you to shoot to 210 or above. I mean, we are, but that's not our main goal. Our main goal is to make sure that you understand all of the fundamentals so that if you never go to another Appleseed, we have still put everything in your mind in order for you to finish teaching yourself to shoot to a rifleman's standard of accuracy, so that you won't have to go to a range anymore and wonder what to do when you get there. Most people go to the range, they take their 20-pack of shells with them, they'll put up some kind of, indeterminate type of target, they'll put it up, they'll look around, they'll sit down at the bench, and they'll kind of like shrug their shoulders and start shooting, and hopefully by the end of those 20 rounds, they'll have one or two in the black, and then they'll go down, they'll look at their target, and they'll kind of look around to see what's going on around them, and then they'll just go, well, okay, I don't know what else I'm supposed to be doing. And they'll get their target, and they get back to their car, and they'll go home. They'll wait till next year to do that.
Yeah, Scout, one of the things I noticed about the shoot that I thought was great was that everybody who was there improved, but everybody who was there definitely saw improvement, and that was one of the best parts of the shoot. That being said, are the instructors going to act like drill instructors? Are they going to yell at me to get me to improve? How's that going to work?
Most of the time they don't yell at the folks because we have a standard issue 75,000 volt electronic cattle prod
Perfect.
to save our voices. No, the instructors, you got to remember, the instructors are the folks who came to the Appleseed a few months before. There are folks who could come to an Appleseed maybe 6 months ago, and just like you, just like me, just like anybody, any of the rest of your buddies, some of them will have military backgrounds, some will have law enforcement backgrounds, some will have librarian backgrounds. We've got nuclear scientists, physicists. We've got folks who own theatrical businesses, all kinds of stuff like that. And they are only interested in passing on the information that they received and that they were grateful for to you in a very friendly fashion. We don't allow any drill instructor stuff. There's no talking down to the students. There's no none of that. It's all done in a very casual, friendly type atmosphere. Now, we do run it pretty tight because of safety and because we've got a lot of stuff we've got to teach you. But nobody's going to be yelling at you or talking down to you. No, nobody's going to be talking bad about your rifle. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you bring. Matter of fact, Appleseed is one of the organizations where it's almost like a badge of pride for you to have an older model rifle that without a scope and without any kind of fancy shooting gear. You don't need a big golf cart to bring all your gear down to the line or anything like that. It's
the less tactical, the better.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, if you want to come tactical and do that, that's fine. That's up to you. Yep. I'm just saying that nobody's going to yell at you about your rifle as long as you're handling it safely, and nobody's going to talk down to you because everybody here is a volunteer. They volunteer to do this not so that they could harass or harangue anyone. It's because they honestly believe that they're serving their nation by passing on these skills and techniques that will make you a better rifle marksman and a safer rifle marksman, and in their ability to tell the story. And that's what we call telling the history. We call it telling the story. And if you want to become a Appleseed rifle marksmanship instructor, if you want to become a full instructor, then you have to know how to tell the story. You've got to know how to tell the history to the folks. If you can't tell the history correctly and passionately, then you're probably not ever going to be a full instructor. And but they're all volunteers, and they're all good folks. And like I said, we got. You don't have to be on leave from your Marine Corps barracks in order to make it through the course. You can be a homeschooling family with your 2 10-year-old kids, and you will make it through the course fine.
Yeah, I think when I was teaching at a shoot in Smithville, we actually had a mother and her, I think she had 6 or 7 kids that showed up for a whole day and just loved it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, we've become very good at teaching brand new shooters. And what we'll do is we'll have the parents. We'll have the parents and the kids. We usually have them separated, just because that will allow the parents to come to the event and enjoy their time here learning too, without having to try and teach their kids. And if you're a parent with kids and you know that your kids have a duty, you feel like you have a duty to tell them that you need to hold a rifle a little bit differently, and your kids have a duty to tell you, I am holding it right. And they have a natural defense against learning from you. And in order to make sure that your weekend goes a lot smoother, we'll have the parents, a little bit over from the kids, or even if they're right there beside them, we'll just have instructors who are detailed to instruct the kids and the parents so that it doesn't have to happen. And one of the things that I've learned is that when you take a kid and you treat them as when you treat them like a responsible young adult, then they behave that way. And a lot of times, for a lot of these kids, it's the first time that anyone has ever addressed them in that fashion. And the first time that they've ever been somewhere and have been learning something basically on their own, just with the help of just the instructor there. And in a lot of cases, it changes these kids' lives. And I'm not just speculating on this. I've received plenty of letters and emails and phone calls back telling me just exactly that. Hey, whenever I came to the event, I really wasn't that interested in the shooting, and I thought it was just going to be another thing that I'm getting drugged to. And the kids a lot of times will be sitting back behind the line in their lawn chairs with their earphones on and stuff like that, and they don't really want to participate. But then they'll go through the day Saturday, and there'll be a transformation. And by the end of the day on Saturday, you've got that same kid who didn't want to participate and who was rolling their eyes and stuff. We'll be standing there at the end of the day Saturday with the folks saying, and I'll ask them, I'll say, okay, who's coming back tomorrow? And this family, normally they're only doing one day because they're figuring that's all they're ever going to get out of that kid. And I'll say, who's coming back tomorrow? And the kid turns to the parents and says, can we? And the parents are looking at me like, I guess. Not something we thought was going to happen, but yeah. And it changes their lives. So I think this is fantastic for kids. And we made it fairly easy for families to attend. Appleseed is a not-for-profit organization. And as much as we would like to have everybody come through free, we just can't, because it does take a good bit of money to run the organization. But in the 5 years it's been up, we haven't raised the prices ever. It's still $70 for 2 days of rifle marksmanship instruction. That includes a T-shirt. And that's about 5 to 10 times less than you'll pay for most 2-day courses.
Oh, absolutely. I think when I was originally looking to learn rifle skills, that was the first thing I noticed. Is first, all I could find were these sniper skills that would have been a giant waste of my time and their time and my money, but they were like $5,000. And then I was kind of taken aback when I saw that Appleseed was $70 for a weekend shoot. I mean, that's crazy, especially given the level of instruction and quality of instruction that y'all put out.
Right, and the $70, that's the top price there. That's if you pre-register. Now, if you try and walk on, if you don't pre-register and you just show up at an event, it's going to be another $10 for 2 days, or $5 for a single day. But right now, it's $70 if you pre-register for 2 days. unless you are military or law enforcement. For our military men and women, or for our law enforcement officers, we've made the course available free of charge because we want our military members and our law enforcement members to be able to make the shot when they have to make it. So we made the course free for them.
Definitely.
Also, for women, the charge is only $10, and that's already $60 off the regular price, and $300 to $700 off off any of the other courses you'll get, and then kids are only $5 for them to attend. That's because we want you guys that have families. We want you to bring your families. We want you and your wife and your kids to come, and we want to make it affordable for you to come. So,
right about now, our listeners, we know them pretty well, are thinking, "I love this thing." So I got to ask. We've talked about boot camps. We've talked about weekends. What's the best way for them to find out about the next boot camp that's coming to them? I know there's a Texas boot camp coming up. When is the next weekend? Where do they go for this information? What's the most practical way for them to find out wherever they are? Because we've got listeners all over the place.
Okay, well, the easiest way for you to find out more about the organization and then to find out where there is an event that's going to happen in your area is to go to the RWVA homepage, and that's at rwva.org. rwva.org. That's our homepage. And on the homepage, there's plenty of good information. There's a list of tabs across the top of the page, and the second one from the left side of the page says Appleseed. If you put your cursor on that, you'll get a drop-down menu, and on the drop-down menu, you can select Schedule, and that'll take you to a page that I believe it has a map of the United States on it. And if you're interested in the events that are occurring in your state, you can put your cursor on the state and click on that, and it'll open another window that will give you the events that are going to happen in your state. If you want to see where if you're like living in a border area for the states, then you can click on, there's a hot link in the text above the map for all the shoots. You can click on that, and it'll give you a listing of all the events across the United States. Then once you get to the list, you can look and you can find the event that you think would best serve you. And then there are two hot links on the line for each event. One of them says Info. And you click on that, and that'll give you the information for that specific event on that specific date. It'll tell you where it's happening, who's hosting it, the directions to get there, and then contact information for the person that's running that event. And then right next to that is another one that says Register. And that allows you to pre-register for the event. It'll take you to the third-party software, which is Eventbrite, and that'll allow you to pre-register for that event. And one of the things that we're running right now is a program called the Rifleman's Opportunity Program. And that means that if you decide you want to attend an event and you pay the $70 fee or whatever your fee is for that event, you pay the fee, and then there's another link on the Eventbrite that says RWVA membership, and that just is I believe it's $20 for a one-year membership in the Revolutionary War Veterans Association. If you go ahead and get the $20 membership there, and you go to the Appleseed event and you attend it and you enjoy it, and you shoot well, but you don't shoot to Rifleman standards, and you go, you know what, I really want to do this. I really want to keep learning. I want to hone my skills and techniques and give myself the ability to shoot to Rifleman standards, to be able to rule everything within a quarter mile of me. Then you can take those receipts, the $20 receipt for your membership and the $70 receipt for your event, and take it up to the shoot boss and say, look, I want to keep coming back. Then he'll put a sticker on your card, and that'll allow you to attend events free for the next year, and or until you shoot to Rifleman standards, right? Because once you shoot to Rifleman standards, then we're going to do our best to recruit you to become an instructor in the program. But it's a great way for you to attend the events at no charge from then on. So everybody, everybody who has an interest in shooting, and especially even if you guys don't have, and one of the things that I see when because I'm involved myself in the prepper community, is that there's a lot of folks who they're looking for a way to get instruction in firearms, but they don't know exactly how to go about it, and there's always that that fear of something new and of taking a class that's over their heads, or getting in some place where they're going to have to deal with an instructor that's going to be upset with them because they don't know what they're doing, etc. This is the course that you need to take. And if you're a law enforcement officer, or if you're a person that's going to join the military, or if you're already in the military and you're home on leave, this is still the course that you need to take. For you folks, for you preppers, this is an excellent course for you, because we're going to teach you how the fundamentals of rifle marksmanship. And we'll give you enough in the 2 days that you come. We'll give you enough to set you on a great course to understanding all that you need to know about rifle marksmanship. And for you folks that have been shooting, we're going to fill in all the gaps of place where there's information that you should have but you're missing it. We're going to fill in all the gaps for you. So if you're a member of the prepper community, this course is like handmade for you.
Oh, absolutely.
The price is just right. You're going to get 2 days of rifle safety, rifle marksmanship. You're going to get some history about the folks who came before you and who set this nation on the course that it's on, not on now, but set this nation on the course to become the greatest nation. And we're going to talk to you about how you can make sure that it stays that way. Part of prepping, part of making sure that you survive things, is doing your best to avoid that situation in the first place. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk to you about, is how you can avoid this nation ending up in the sewer and maybe saving your nation and your community and your life in the process. So this course is one I would highly recommend for any of the prepping community.
Absolutely. It really is. Aside from the camaraderie and everything else, the program is just absolutely tailor-made for anybody interested in prepping. So, Scout, we talked a couple times about the boot camp, and just so that people understand what the boot camp is, can you tell us real quick what that's all about?
Right. We've got 3 types of, well, we actually have more than that now, but with the 3 main types of events that we run we'll have the 2-day regular Appleseed rifle marksmanship course, and that usually occurs 8 a.m. to about 5 or 6 Saturday, and 8 a.m. to 5 or 6 on Sunday. Then we have, for folks who want to learn more and who want to, instead of spreading this out across 5, 6, 7, 8, or a dozen weekends, if they want to try and get everything into one bag in a fairly rapid pace, we have what we call the Rifleman's Boot Camp. And that is 8 solid days of rifle marksmanship instruction. And then we're going to have several days of how to teach what you have learned. Because the whole point of knowing something is so that you can use it and so you can pass it on. You could be the most brilliant mind in the world, and unless those thoughts escape your own skull, then it wouldn't have mattered if you were the dumbest person in the world, right? Mm-hmm. Because unless you pass it on, all that information in your head is worthless. So our goal is always to be able to teach others. And even if you're not teaching for Appleseed, you're always going to be teaching somewhere. You're going to be teaching your grandkids. You're going to teach your neighbor, somebody. Somewhere you're going to be teaching. And that's what we're trying to help you learn how to do at a Rifleman's Boot Camp. It'll run from Sunday to Sunday. And the first 5 days are all about rifle marksmanship. We're going to teach you to become intimately familiar with your rifle We're going to teach you to shoot to Rifleman standards. Then we're going to have a day where we work out teaching you to shoot at actual distance. And we're going to be talking to you about more involved about inches, minutes, and clicks, and wind corrections, distance, target determination, all of those things. And then on the Friday, we'll have what we call the mock Appleseed. That's where you and the rest of your attendees, you guys will rotate through acting as if you were actual instructors and you're teaching the course. And then on Saturday and Sunday, the course will have a regular weekend Appleseed that will be open to the public, and the folks who have attended the boot camp will be the instructors. They'll be the assistant instructors at that event. So there'll be 8 days, Sunday to Sunday, and you'll be, for 5 of those, you'll be working hard and fast at attaining and polishing your rifle marksmanship skills, and then your teaching skills, and then you'll put all of those skills together and use them to teach a 2-day course at the end of the event. Here in Texas, our next one is the last couple of days of November and the first week of December. I'm not looking at my calendar. I actually stepped outside for a minute. But if one of you guys could grab a calendar and look at that.
Yeah, give me just a sec while you're talking. I'll pull it up.
That will be the one here in Texas. And I encourage anybody who would like to attend, I encourage you to attend. The cost for the 8 days is $200, and that is certainly a very inexpensive fee for this. But if you're strapped for cash and you would like to come, then you can contact me, and we'll work something out. All right. Like I said, we're not interested in making money. We're interested in making riflemen, putting you on the path to becoming a rifleman. So if any of you guys want to contact me, you're welcome to call me on my phone. It's 254-217-1325. That's my cell phone. And you can email me at rangescout, RANGESCOUT, one word, lowercase, at Hughes, HUGHES.net. Rangescout at Hughes.net. And we'll be glad to put you on the line for the Rifleman's boot camp. Or if you just want to attend the event at the end of the boot camp, that would be great too. When you attend the RBCs, you've got 8 days where you're working all day long with a dozen or 2 dozen other guys, and it's an absolutely fantastic experience. Here in Davila, we invite you guys to camp out. We don't have any hotels or barracks here, but there's free camping and primitive showers and outhouse and stuff like that. And we invite you to take part in this coming up at the end of November. And
so it's the 28th of November through, I guess that would be about the 4th of December.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, and I will say firsthand, it is quite an experience, and for anybody that's thinking, wow, that seems like a lot of time or maybe even a lot of work, it's really not. It is, of all the memories in my life, I think that my first boot camp will forever stick out in my mind as one of the most amazing experiences I ever had.
Oh yeah, me too. And the only bad thing about it for me was that it ended.
Yeah. Yes.
I remember sitting there on the Sunday that it ended with all the rest of the guys, and we're all sitting there looking at each other going, oh, what now? Well, this is just it's just getting perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a fantastic chance for you to give yourself a jump as far as learning the skills and techniques you'll need to set you on the path to becoming a rifleman. And if you have an interest in becoming an Appleseed Project instructor, it will give you a jump on that too.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of going to 6 or 7 or 8 events, to learn your craft. You're going to learn a great deal of it right there in those 8 days. And you're going to make lifelong friends, and you're going to learn a lot about yourself. So,
yep, absolutely.
And the price is $200. And like I said, I gave out my number and my email and stuff.
And we'll also put that in the show notes.
And usually we're going to shoot probably about 12 to 1,400 rounds. And you guys can bring, we'll shoot the majority of it at 25 meters, which means that you can bring a rimfire in order to learn the skills and techniques and save you some money by shooting rimfire at the 25 meter. And then bring your centerfire, and we'll be able to take you out to the actual distance, and you can use all those skills and techniques that you have learned and perfected on your rimfire for just pennies around, and you can apply those to your centerfire, which will run you, $50 to $1 per round, and it'll save you some money on that, and you'll be able to get all the actual data for the actual ranges for your rifle, and like I said, you'll learn a great deal about your rifle, and you'll learn even more about yourself.
Mm-hmm. Now, Scout, you also have your own podcast that comes out once a week. Can you tell us about that?
Right now, I have one that I'm doing for the Appleseed Project, and it's on Blog Talk Radio, and you can find it by blogtalkradio.com/Appleseed Radio. Mm-hmm. And I do that every Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central Time to talk about Appleseed business and to talk about shooting techniques and stuff like that. And then I'm getting ready to launch another radio show that will go in conjunction with a new program that I'm working out here. I do the Appleseed rifle marksmanship instruction, but we do all that for rifle marksmanship, and we encourage everyone, if you're going to learn about shooting rifles, to start out with Appleseed. And then I got a new company that we're just going public with now called Battle Road. And Battle Road is a company that teaches more of a self-defense and combat style shooting, and we're actually getting ready to start with level 1 and 2 handgun classes on November 12th and 13th, and that's here in Central Texas. So once again, if you want to come and learn about handgun shooting in a self-defense style, then you're welcome to contact me for that too. That's in Central Texas, November 12th and 13th for level 1 and level 2 handguns.
And we'll also put links for all of this in the show notes as well. And what is, real quick for everybody listening, what do you have the website address for your new handgun tactical shooting company? We've got
the website up, and it's kind of bare bones right now, but you can still get the information there by going to BattleRoadUSA, one word, .com. BattleRoadUSA.com, and that'll give you the some of the course requirements and stuff, and the dates and the information and stuff.
Well, awesome. Scout, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing with our listeners the same joy of Appleseed that we have and that we hope our listeners experience soon if they haven't already.
All right, listen, thank you guys for having me on the show. And anybody that would like to learn more about it, you can talk to Aaron and his buddies because they are qualified Appleseed instructors, or you can give me a call or email me at the addresses that I put out. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you guys again in about a month or two on Appleseed Radio.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Scout. And with that, we wrap up episode 69. Thank you for joining us. This has been an episode from the In the Rabbit Hole Urban Survival Podcast. You can learn more by visiting intherabbithole.com. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great survival stuff.